but it does look like a very solid breakout out of that channel. So what you'd like to see from a TA perspective is to kind of come back and retest that upper trend line, and then you could really see that thing send if it holds that as support. I think.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of WagmiTV. We have an exciting one for you guys today. We're talking about an altcoin with some serious potential. We're talking about WINR, built on Arbitrum. So I'm going to kick it over to Zoe to lead us through the discussion and kick it off.
Thanks, Sia. Yeah, WINR is a super exciting protocol. I'm excited to get into this, but before we get into it, it's important, I think, to take a look at narratives. In crypto, narratives are everything, right? And when you're trying to build kind of a holistic portfolio to do well in the bull market, you want exposure to all the different narratives within crypto. One of the biggest narratives in 2024 is going to be GambleFi, which is basically crypto projects that are building gambling infrastructure, betting infrastructure, anything like that, online casinos. Those all fall into the GambleFi category. And so there's a variety of different projects that are working in that GambleFi space, and they're all likely to do fairly well. Now, the key is picking the winners in that group, no pun intended. And today we're going to be talking about an awesome coin called WINR. So before we hop into it, let's just go check out the chart, see what the chart is telling us right now. And clearly, a lot of strength here in the chart. Going to pass it over to our resident TA advisors over here, Armada and Garcia. What are you guys seeing here? I mean, clearly it looks to have some sort of breakout here right now, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to look at this little channel here that formed really since the big first pop that WINR had back in the summer. It's a little more difficult to do TA on some of these newer, smaller tokens in general, but it does look like a very solid breakout out of that channel. So what you'd like to see from a TA perspective is to kind of come back and retest that upper trend line, and then you could really see that thing send if it holds that as support. I think it's interesting. The one thing you always like to look at on breakouts is the volume. So the volume actually looks fairly decent, fairly in line with some of the other days. I don't know, Soam, do you have any insight into kind of that really large volume candle or what might have caused that?
Yeah, this was right here. This one, you can almost discount it a little bit, but it is kind of an important highlight. This was just a huge whale. I remember seeing, the price action on this day in particular, and it was actually some guy who had, I think, $1.2 million that in over the course of a couple of hours bought just a ton of WINR. And so this pump from here is really that. Of course, we retraced a bit and have still seen kind of some strength on the chart, which is good to see. And then we've obviously gone above that. So yeah, that's pretty much it on this candle. Sia, you got any thoughts on the chart?
No, I mean, I think Mata covered all the bases pretty well. I think the one thing to the downside you'd be looking for if it does break that upper level of the channel on the resistance side, I'd say if it drops below that more than a wick, it would have to come right back up. And what typically happens is it's going to drop below it just barely, and then it's going to test it again. And then if it can break through it again and stand on top, then it's more bullish. So people watch those levels, as Mata mentioned, pretty tightly. So that's the only thing I would say to the downside is that if it does break down below, it's going to retest it one more time. And then if that invalidates, it's probably going to the bottom of the channel.
Yep. Awesome. So yeah, that kind of a trend line right here is something to keep an eye out. In terms of where we could possibly be going, of course, you see over here, it's about 40 million FDV in terms of the market cap for this token. Now, when you think of GambleFi as kind of a sector within the crypto industry, the leader by far and away is ROLLBIT, which is RLB, token that went super viral over the summer. And if we come over here and we look at this token, right, obviously has done really well this year. This one is valued at 400 million, right? So if we come back and we look at WINR, in order to kind of match and catch up to RLB, if it were to do that, that would be close to a 10x from here, which would take us, somewhere way up here. Even that probably wouldn't do. So you can see the potential upside is there for WINR. Of course, not financial advice or anything like that, but just it's always important to look at these tokens in terms of comps, and so RLB is really the main comp there. So that's about it for the chart. Now let's get into kind of the project itself here in the last couple of minutes. We'll take you over to their website real quick. Basically, what WINR is it's a decentralized project that's building like gambling and gaming infrastructure. So projects can actually use WINR's infrastructure and build their own gambling projects on top of it. They have a lot of different interesting features for folks that are looking to kind of build their own gambling or online casinos, things like that. Right now they have two projects built on the protocol right now. One is JustBet and the other is DGen Bets. JustBet is really just kind of an online casino. You can kind of see the volume that it's doing and some basic stats here. DGen Bets is a place where you can, I think, take up to 1,000x leverage on trading. And so it really truly is a DGen place to trade. And it really all uses WINR's infrastructure to make that all happen. You guys, we'll leave the website in the description so you guys can check it out. For me, this kind of brings to what's next. What's next in 2024? Why do we think that this coin could perform really well? And for me, it really comes down to a couple of things. One is the launch of their sportsbook platform, right? So a sportsbook is actually going to launch. We all know that sports betting, even as a non Web3 category, is something that a lot of folks are really bullish on. FanDuel, DraftKings, all of that. Now taking that and taking some of that volume and bringing it into kind of the crypto world, definitely I think could be a tailwind there. The other one that I wanted to highlight, and this is something that actually just came out, is they just announced in this tweet that WINR protocol is actually going to be expanding to support the Solana chain. Now, if you guys have been paying attention, of course, Solana has been the talk of the town the last couple of months or so. It's obviously had a huge run up, super cheap fees. People are talking about it again as the Ethereum killer potentially. And it's got a lot of traction and a lot of users because of those cheap fees and good user experience. So I'm also looking for this to potentially be a huge tailwind for WINR going into the next year. And so those are really kind of the two main catalysts, I would say, going into the new year. Curious to get your guys' thoughts before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the GambleFi narrative, like you've said, is pretty promising. We saw a surge of this earlier in the year. I think you had been watching WINR for a while, ROLLBIT. We saw that move as well towards the beginning of 2023. And so, yeah, I think it's very interesting when you look at some of the other international online gaming sites, the popular ones like stake.com. They're already using Bitcoin within their platform for a lot of their funding and wagers. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where this goes in 2024.
Yeah, I feel like with narratives also, to your point, so obviously it's great to track them, and it's always good to have that as a tailwind for altcoins in your bag. But I think the other flip side too is that it also means the larger the narrative, the more competition too. So it'll be interesting to see how the GambleFi space kind of evolves in 2024, how their new platform goes up against competitors, how they adjust. And I think what's nice about narratives though in crypto and particularly altcoins is that a rising tide tends to lift all boats. I feel like pretty much all the GambleFi tokens, as long as that narrative is strong, we should see some upside in all of them.
Yeah, and I think it'd be, of course, we want to talk about comps within kind of Web3. I think it's also going to be interesting to see how this plays out from a competition perspective with, the DraftKings and the Penn Gamings of the world as well, that have kind of gone crazy ever since sports betting became legal. And I think it's more than 30 states now in the US. So I think this, in general, gambling isn't going away anytime soon, and it's going to become kind of a bigger player both within Web3 and outside of it. So curious to see how this kind of unfolds there.
100%. And we'll be here in 2024 to give all the viewers the latest and greatest when it comes to WINR and the GambleFi narrative. If you found any of this useful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below. If you hold any WINR or plan to buy some, let us know why. We always love hearing from the subscribers on what they think. So that is pretty much it for today, and we'll see you next time here on WagmiTV.